to support the platform just in case anything like this happens again, you can do it by way of PayPal, Patreon, Cash App, and also by the Anchor. And you can also further support the platform by way of going to the Teespring store or the shoe store that is located in the comment section below. A former heavyweight boxer from Montenegro was charged with trafficking 22 tons of cocaine worth more than 1 billion from Colombia to Europe via the United States. Goran Gokic, 43, was arrested Sunday night while trying to board a flight to Zurich from Miami International Airport after being indicted by a grand jury in New York. The charges against the ex-bruiser stemmed from the seizure of 22 tons of cocaine found on three commercial cargo ships in February, March, and June of 2019. On June 19th of 2019, law enforcement performed a raid which found 19.8 tons of the drugs on an MSC Guyane while it was docked at Philadelphia's Packer Avenue Marine Terminal, marking one of the largest seizures of cocaine in United States history. Prosecutors have also stated that between May of 2018 and July of 2019, the conspirators transported coke to Europe from Colombia through American ports using cranes and nets at night to hoist drugs onto cargo ships from approaching speedboats along the ship's routes. The complex operation required knowledge of each ship's crew, route, and location data, and that there was room to store drugs in the shipping containers that were already aboard. The drug trafficking ring allegedly used a different set of workers with access to the ports in Europe to secretly smuggle the cocaine from the shipping containers upon their arrival. According to court documents, Gokic oversaw the logistics, coordinating the crew members, Colombian traffickers, and European dock workers to benefit himself and his Balkan based cartels. Gokic, who was a pro boxer whose career spanned more than a decade, was charged with 3 counts of violating the Federal Maritime Drug Law Enforcement Act and 1 count of conspiracy. Each count carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years in prison and possible life sentence. Gokic, who was described as a sophisticated drug trafficker, was also jailed and briefly appeared in court in Miami on Monday. His lawyers also stated that another detention hearing is scheduled for November 7th. The lawyer stated that, quote, these charges came to a surprise to my client. He maintains his innocence and had come to the United States for a boxing convention in Puerto Rico. In a statement, the United States Attorney Breon Peace in Brooklyn called Gokic's arrest and indictment a resounding victory for law enforcement. At least 8 Guyane crew members have pled guilty to conspiracy charges. So I just want to just make this blatantly obvious on the reason why I brought this up. Whenever people talked about the war on drugs, they weren't talking about people like this. They weren't talking about people of European descent. They were specifically after and only after black men in the black community, because you would have to wonder, how is it, right, that the government can have RICO charges or whatever it is against black men, right? And I'm talking about, dealing with, black men who are celebrities or whatnot or whatever. They can always, get these charges and get a whole bunch of them, right? But yet no one ever, specifically goes after the source, right? The one who has a lot of the stuff. And this European had a lot of the stuff. When it was snowing, it was really actually snowing when it came to this man, right? He was, in a sense, as ultimate of a plug as you could get. And the other thing I want people to pay attention to is this. Now, notice how they specifically went after him and they knew for some years, right? Because this is what the government will do. They will gather information, they will watch somebody for years and leave them unbothered, not let them know that they're watching them, different stuff, and then they'll nab them. Sometimes this can be a few years, maybe 5 years, 10 years, 15, maybe some extent, it might be even 20 years that they'll allow things like this to go through. Now, one would have to wonder what happens in between that time when the person has those drugs and then those drugs are delivered. Are they being intercepted? Are they still being allowed to be sold? Are the people who have the drugs that they're buying, are they being apprehended? I'm talking about the plug of the plug of the plug. Like, are the people down the line who have the power, are all of them getting caught up in this large operation, this sting, this large net that they casted in order to catch the offenders? And every single time I read any of these stories, I never hear of the government going after the people that are selling this stuff on the streets, that are selling these things locally. Because I'm pretty sure that you got wiretaps, you got phone taps, you got, bugs that can go through his internet history, whatever it is. I'm pretty sure it would not be that difficult to get a phone record from a cell phone service provider. Of course, you would have to have some paperwork to go with that, but I'm pretty sure that they could easily get that and trace the calls and nab all of these people if they really wanted to clean up the drugs, right? But the thing about it is, they don't really want to clean up the drugs. They want to cause a little bit of issues. They want to cause a little bit of problems, because people got to realize, the drug game is big business for both sides. And the moment in time that the drugs are completely wiped off the field, that means that all of the people that are players in this game, meaning the quote unquote good guys, what are they going to be the good guys for? What are they now going to be able to profit off of and make money off of repeat offenders and other drug dealers and so on and so on and so on? What job will they actually have? And the answer is they won't have one. So this is why the war on drugs is very specific. This is why whenever they do these nets and they cast this, this large net and whatnot, this is why only a few big fish get caught. The ocean is pretty large. And if you look at, certain types of fish, they run in packs, right? You might see like a school of fish, as they say, right? Where you might see 50 to 100, of the same type of fish running in a pack, eating together, protecting themselves, because, there's protection in numbers. And one would have to also think that if you have fish that do that, you would have drug dealers that would do the exact same thing, right? They are stronger and more powerful in numbers. They would have these drug rings, right? And they would be run by another circle that would be smaller than that ring. And then it would just go all the way up to the top, right? Where you would have just a few, or that one person that's giving all of the intel and sending the directions and yada, yada, yada. So if you're able to get the person that's quote unquote at the head of the pyramid, so to say, then what about all of the blocks that's under the pyramid? Are we just going after the golden cap, or are we going to deconstruct the whole pyramid so that nothing is left, right? That no evidence is there, that no residual is there. And like I said before, the answer is they're not going to do that. The good guys are the good guys for a reason. And the only way that you can ever be a good guy is if you have a villain to go after. If you don't have a villain, you're just a guy.